A DA's announcement and fewer than 300 votes putting an end to at least one part of a year-long political scandal. Plus, delays, busy signals, and fraud claims through the roof. What's holding up your unemployment check? And the City of Wichita steps up to help enforce county COVID restrictions, but is it the safest move? That's what we're talking about right now on Kansas Week.
Southwest National Bank has proudly served Wichita and its surrounding communities for over 100 years. We are happy to support KPTS, Public Television for Kansas.
I'm Pilar Pedraza, and this is Kansas Week. We begin this week with the growing surge in coronavirus infections. Kansas now 6th in the nation for new infection rates, with a statewide positive testing rate climbing above 22%. Sedgwick County topping 33%, according to the state. And local hospitals urging greater restrictions, saying they're on the verge of being overwhelmed by the number of patients, leading Wichita City Council to pledge its help enforcing Sedgwick County's latest health order this week.
The hospital is overrun with COVID at this point.
Before voting, the Wichita City Council heard from leaders at Wesley Healthcare about the impact of the current surge in COVID cases.
I am very concerned about what we're seeing and very concerned about where we will be by the end of the year.
By then, they fear they'll have to treat patients in the halls because they'll have run out of places to put extra beds. This after Wichita School Superintendent Alicia Thompson sent a letter to the mayor Tuesday saying the district is looking at closing some buildings because they just don't have the staff to operate them anymore. And that number could increase if the city doesn't do something to slow the spread of the virus.
You can't have a healthy economy without healthy people.
Despite concerns about the effectiveness of the county's health order from the two Wichitans who spoke during the public comment section, the council voted 5-2 to help enforce it.
Motion passes.
The mayor saying the enforcement is more about making sure people understand just how serious the situation is than actually writing tickets. Chief Gordon Ramsey says police will continue to rely on an education-first philosophy. He doesn't foresee issuing any more tickets than the 4 the department wrote during the city's enforcement order over the summer.
It's really for those that don't comply with warnings. That's potentially when we will get involved.
I respect the mayor. I respect the city council members in their authority.
Daniel Rivera went to a remote room to oppose the city's enforcement of a mask mandate.
Because this right here, if someone's around me and it's a real threat to them, they could really die. This is them saying I'm safe when I'm really not safe.
Those messages came as city leaders worked to approve additional enforcement of county health orders.
My hospital is overrun with COVID at this point.
Local health leaders pleaded for additional enforcement measures, citing the volume of patients they've seen in the last several weeks.
Very concerned about what we're seeing and very concerned about where we will be by the end of the year.
Despite those pleas, not everyone has been convinced.
In my opinion, this could be doing more damage than good. And if that's a possibility, and it's also possible that it's doing good, but we don't know.
In downtown Wichita, Greg Miller, KAKE News, on your side.
And here to help us break this down, we're joined by John Wright, news director at KQAM Radio here by Zoom. And on the desk with me, Diane Leffler with the Wichita Eagle. Thank you both so much for being here. Diane, I'm going to start with you. There weren't nearly as many people. The city was set up. Media was kind of expecting a long line again, like we've seen, but really only 3 people showed up. Only 2 actually spoke out.
Part of that was this was a special meeting, so there wasn't a whole lot of time to organize anything. One of the meetings that they had, actually a county meeting, the county workers who had to staff that meeting, some of them came down with COVID, so I think maybe they're picking their shots a little more. I'm still seeing the same stuff all over social media. Every single day I open up my Facebook and I watch Unmask Wichita fighting with Mask Up Wichita, and so I think there's still a division there.
Oh, definitely a division, although there are some legitimate things for no matter which side you're on, some legitimate arguments on the other side. Certainly, as we listen to the folks who oppose the enforcement, when we spoke with Daniel Rivera, one of the things that he was saying was, if I'm standing here in a mask, and there's somebody who's at high risk next to me and they say, okay, he's wearing a mask, I'm safe, that's not really true, because the mask is just one part of the protection measures.
Right, but they are safer. There's no question about that. Whatever Daniel would be spewing is going to stick closer to his face if he has a mask than if he doesn't.
No.
So I have a really hard time with that argument, because, you know, the mask is not to protect yourself. The mask is to protect the people around you in case you have it. So if we all have masks, then the transmission rate drops. I've seen figures as low as 5%. Mm-hmm. So, you know, it's sort of a, you know, I really hesitate to, you know, to give too much credence to that argument, frankly.
And John, as you talk with your listeners, does it sound like having an enforcement, having that $500 fine potential out there will make a difference this time around?
I think the people that I talk to, they are, for the most part, in the business community. They are concerned about keeping their businesses open. How can I get cash flow to keep the lights on? How can I continue to serve my customers? Reduced hours in their mind hurts them. There's also another segment that I meet and greet every day, that no matter what type of mask that you have on, none of it works. There are some people just do not believe in masking. They do not believe in social distancing. They are believing in herd mentality. Every bit of information we heard in that piece came from fake media in their eyes, and there's no amount of convincing the unmasked to put a mask on, because in their mind, it's all a hoax. Where have they heard that from? I think you know. So until we can turn that thinking around, listen to, as we're saying, there's one side of the story, there's another side of the story, and there's the truth, which Dion hit on a little bit earlier. Why not give these masks a chance? Why not give 14 days, 20 days, the end of the month, the end of the year, however long it takes, to see if all of these variables can come together with the mask, with the social distancing, with the wash your hands, and find out if it works or not. This is a new virus. No one knows everything. It mutates. It likes us. It wants to join us. In our community, it likes us really good. It wants to come to the family picnic. It wants to come to the cookout. Our goal over this Thanksgiving, and I heard this on our national CBS News this morning, we can either enjoy or suck it up and sacrifice Thanksgiving, or spend Christmas on a ventilator.
No.
So whatever you need to do out there to keep yourself safe, in my opinion, that's what you need to do.
Well, I know I've also spoken with a lot of businesses who say they need to do whatever they can to stay open. The mayor saying getting the number of new infections back down the only way to bring another set of numbers down, and that would be unemployment. Certainly something the Department of Labor could use some help with. With record numbers filing for unemployment, it continues to be plagued by response problems, delays, and fraud. Last September, Kayla Lawrence joined tens of thousands of Kansans who'd lost their jobs to the pandemic. She's tried to file for unemployment, but hasn't gotten a single check.
Have just been getting errors on the website, and they tell me to call. I call, and they hang up on me because they say the queue is full.
Kayla says she finally got through last week, only to learn the state flagged her application for fraud. She'd have to call a different number and talk to someone else.
Oh, man. How frustrating is that?
Incredibly frustrating.
The acting Secretary of Labor, Ryan Wright, told us they've been whittling away at the backlog of some 25,000 applications the agency built up earlier this year when the pandemic hit.
And it's down now to about 8,000, and we're on target to completely eliminate that by the end of the year.
But he says there's another problem that's slowing the process down.
When we're seeing 90 to 95 to 98% of every day of the claims being fraudulent, it absolutely slows everything down.
Wright says they've added operators and doubled the fraud detection team, stopping more than $30 million in fraudulent claims last month.
If folks give us just a little bit more time and hang in there, I think we have turned the corner.
But Kayla says she's been getting more help from Facebook groups full of Kansans struggling with the unemployment system than she has from the state.
Got all the proper paperwork, everything good to go, and I'm considered as fraudulent, and I can't get through to any person to say this is not fraudulent.
Lawmakers said this week only a completely revamped system could be able to correct the problems the Department of Labor is seeing. The large level of unemployment claims has shown the state's unemployment system, which runs on a more than 40-year-old mainframe, can't keep up. Industry experts say the old system is making the problems worse because new technology can't be used to improve the issues. Philip Hayes is the vice president at the Arnold Group. He also has served as the director of Kansas State Council of Human Resource Management. He said to find a good solution, lawmakers will need to get input from businesses and people that have struggled to get benefits, and that there is no time to wait for the legislature to start addressing the need.
Once we climb out of this pandemic and this recessionary period, we're going to have another recession, and typically those are on average 7 to 9 years. So that's our window of opportunity to get this right, make those improvements, and then don't take our eye off the ball. Once we feel like we've got it up and running, we have to continually maintain this and not be in a position that we're working with a system that is 4 decades old.
Lawmakers said efforts to improve the system have stalled in the past because the legislature and previous administrations weren't on the same page. They're hopeful this crisis can bring people together. And John, I've talked to so many people who say they just need their help from the state. Getting the system fixed has got to be a priority.
It has to be a priority. We started with the 40-year-old mainframe. Look, I've got 2 tablets, an iPhone, and depending on which way the wind blows, one or the other will or won't work. So just think if they were 40 years old and they're processing millions, thousands of hundreds of thousands of these pieces of information that are so vital to people to get a paycheck so they can pay their bills, get food for their family, keep the lights on. That has got to be frustrating when you're calling in to present your information and you get put on hold and ignored. That can't be. And the one thing in that piece, you have to get a hold of this now. You can't wait for the legislature. Special session or private groups need to get together. And look, government's not going to solve everything. How you solve things is coming together, whether you agree, don't agree on it, whatever topic it is, find a solution. Everyone can get on the same side and get this done. This is life and death, more so than COVID, because not only are you impacting one people, but you're impacting all these families of laid off, whether it's coronavirus, aviation, even farming being impacted. So people have to get together on this now. As the piece mentioned, there's another recession coming. We've got to get ready here in Kansas. Well, and I know, Dion, as I did the interview with Ryan Wright, when he told me 90 to 98% of new applications every day are fraud, my jaw hit the ground.
Oh, yeah. I myself have been hit by the fraud bug. Somebody filed an application in my name, and the first I heard about it was when I got a benefit letter from the state saying that I was eligible for this much money, and I'm like, I'm not unemployed. I'm working every day.
We're in media. We're working twice a day now.
Yeah. But I mean, you honestly have to wonder at the way that this is going, why they can't come up with some sort of system to get it done. When we were testing for, when we were testing for the coronavirus, thousands of people are doing that. They drive up in their car, they show their ID, they get taken care of. Same thing with voting. So it's like, there's got to be a way, and frankly, that way might be papers and pens. I mean, even if, if your person that you talk to, if there was somebody that she could go to a drive-through site in Wichita and say, okay, I am me, here's my ID, here's my pay stubs that show I've been laid off, here's my, here's my paperwork.
Yeah.
Maybe they could get that done instead of trying to process everything through an obsolete computer system.
Yeah, especially when I was talking with Wright, he said a lot of these fraudulent applications, most of them actually are being filed by bots, and they knock one down and another one pops in, and that's why they're getting so many in a single day.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, this next bit may help reduce those seeking unemployment. The FAA gave the green light this week for the Boeing 737 MAX to fly again. KSN's Hunter Funk explains what's next.
because it was looking really bleak prior to this.
It's really big, really good news.
The approval came as a surprise to the Machinists and Aerospace Union.
We've been turned down so much and got so many bad answers due to FAA that I was hopeful but real skeptical.
The union president says some workers have been furloughed for 9 months, but says Spirit is beginning to bring in 25 to 50 workers every Friday. While the 737 production will help with unemployment, it's helping the economy as well.
This is what really drives our economy. So ramping this back up will take a lot of that strain off this economy. We can start seeing a lot more cash spending.
But it won't happen overnight.
A lot more than a year to get back to where we were before.
Hill says with less airline traveling, it means there's less of a need for aircrafts, but believes the orders and aviation industry will pick up sooner than expected. The union says this is what workers needed to hear.
Super exciting to be able to tell some folks that there's a super good possibility that your number will get called.
And John, I know that maybe the impact from this decision won't be right now. It's not going to be next week, but certainly within a couple of months, some very good news for the Wichita aviation industry there.
It could be in a couple of months. It could be into 2021. The need to be more diversified hits harder now than ever before. A lot of legislature, the government has talked about being more diversified. Let's not just depend on the aviation industry. We've seen it be cyclical, layoffs, callbacks. And now people are actually not going to go for the $25 to $30 an hour job to drill a rivet. They are getting into something that may pay half, a little less, just to make sure they have a steady income at home. There need to be more diversified. Again, there's IT. We've seen a rise in that. We have to go back to more hands-on, more sustainable, profitable, good-paying jobs other than aviation. Yes, there will be an aviation industry. It will come back, but 2 months, I'm not seeing that. If COVID is around, people are flying enclosed in these airplanes, who is going to fly when we still have the numbers in each state that you want to go as for the holidays to grandma's house? Who's going to fly? Who's going to drive a car? I'm just not buying the 2 months is going to turn around. It's going to take some time. First, people have to trust that these airplanes are safe. And Boeing and the other manufacturers need to demonstrate to the flying public that those planes are going to be safe.
And certainly a good point there about the trust in flying right now. I had to fly back in September, and one thing I noticed was the planes were packed, but the airports were empty. There just aren't as many flights right now.
Oh yeah, I mean it's a mess. I mean there's no two ways around it. Although I did have a moment. My office is right by the railroad tracks. And I saw a train going out of Wichita with fuselages on it. And it was like, thank you, because I mean
it's been so long since we've seen that.
Yeah, I mean, well, it's kind of fun to watch anyway, because these fuselages, they come around a corner like it's a car or something. But it was like, thank you, I mean, it's just yes, obviously we do need to diversify this economy, but we haven't yet. And so my job, your job, everybody's job around here depends in some way on those jobs. Mm-hmm. And it's such a big part of our economy. So yeah. I was very heartened to see actual 737 fuselages headed north. Yeah. So yeah, it's
all right. Well, as we say so often with legislative matters, also goes the economy and jobs. We're just going to have to wait and see what happens over the next few months. Turning our attention to a scandal that's rocked the Sedgwick County political scene, KSN's Alexis Padilla shows us how this week we saw perhaps an end to at least one chapter as County Commissioner Michael O'Donnell resigned his position.
After a roller coaster of allegations and investigations, Michael O'Donnell is resigning from his spot on the Sedgwick County Commission. A decision Commissioner Jim Howell feels could be a reset for everyone.
We have got to have ethical behavior from everyone in leadership. And I'm sorry this whole thing has happened. There's a lot of lessons to be learned here. I just hope that we can start moving towards healing.
Meanwhile, Commissioner Lacey Cruz is ready to move on.
We are in the middle of a pandemic. We have to not forget that. This is another distraction and one that's taking us away from focusing on the things that we really need to be focusing on.
The Sedgwick County Republican Party has 21 days to fill O'Donnell's seat. Commissioner Howell believes that waiting period could cause some problems.
There are 5 commissioners for a reason. This is a hard job, and there's a lot of stuff to consider. Someone, even for 40 days, I think it would be beneficial to have somebody in that seat, obviously, to have a fifth perspective.
On the other hand, Commissioner David Dennis says the commission will be just fine.
So we still have 4 commissioners. It takes 3 to have a quorum. Government is still going to continue on.
And a couple of days later, O'Donnell's opponent, Sarah Lopez, officially defeated him in the election by 264 votes. Lopez becomes the first Latino commissioner in Sedgwick County and the second Democrat to sit on the commission right now. And Diane, I'm going to start with you because I know you've been part of the team that's been covering this from almost the very beginning. I'm not sure, though, which is the bigger headline, O'Donnell resigning or Lopez winning?
Well, I mean, to a large degree, Lopez won because O'Donnell got into this situation. So it's really one story that, you know, just sort of meshes and comes apart and comes back together. So it was, I mean, I've been at this for a year. And a year ago, I said, I'm either going to find out who did the ad that sparked this whole thing, or I'll retire first. One way or the other, you know, we're going to find this out, and we did. And so I don't understand why it's taken as long as it has, but that ad, the original ad, was just so sketchy. I mean, it was, you know, it was just a skeevy ad.
Well, and I think all of us in the media proved it wrong within a couple of hours of knowing about it.
Well, they stole quotes from our story, you know, so it was like, yes, we knew immediately that these allegations were not made against Brandon Whipple, they were made against Republican state senators. So it was obvious from the start. And then, you know, this whole cover-up and you know, they hit, you know, hiding it behind a New Mexico LLC. New Mexico is the only state in America where you don't have to report who owns a company. Funneling money through a nonprofit charity that was supposed to be helping student athletes who are at risk of dropping out of school. I mean, just, and then to try to blame it all on Dalton Glasscock, who was the head of the Sedgwick County GOP at the time, and was one of Michael O'Donnell's best friends. You know, so it's like this whole thing, I mean, it's like some sort of weird Shakespearean tragedy.
No.
You know, it's just...
Well, in the ouster investigation, that the DA's determination on the ouster investigation that Michael O'Donnell certainly met the requirements for an ouster precipitated the resignation, but I know that we are still waiting for the results of that investigation into Michael Capps and James Clendenin. And John, that's, you know, just another step of this ongoing scandal that is something we've not seen, at least in the 20 years I've been in Wichita.
Okay, look, this O'Donnell, Clendenin, and Capps, the person who now has been cleared through releasing the audio that clearly placed those 3 in that meeting. O'Donnell had been on the hot seat before, and it's not like this is new. He didn't step aside, didn't advocate his seat at that time. Other commissioners, although they may not publicly have come out against him, maybe they should have. Maybe they should have held his feet to the fire, and more times than not, maybe this situation, the attack against Dalton Glasscock and others involved, might not have happened. But this is a character issue. If you're going to run for office, you have to have character and integrity. As Commissioner Cruz mentioned, we're in the midst of a pandemic. There's no time for these shenanigans to go on. especially within party. This is partisan. This is not bipartisan. So far, there's not been a Democrat mixed in. This is partisan politics. And you have to take the lead at the top. So the county commissioners, they've got a lot of work to do. I was very pleased to hear Commissioner Dennis come out, Commissioner Cruz come out to move forward. And Ms. Lopez, this is definitely a step in the right direction. The voters decided, which is what it should be. It's in the voters in that District 2 hands where it ought to be. And we'll see what happens to Clendenin and Capps down the road.
Well, turning to the other side of that, with Lopez now joining the commission, how does that change the dynamics on the county commission? Since I've been covering them, I can't remember there being 2 Democrats on the commission before.
Well, they may call it liberal, depending on how far those girl power goes. Okay, maybe there's going to be an ally with Cruz and Lopez, but maybe not. There are some issues Cruz wants to get going. The Citizen Review Board one, there's never been their District Advisory Board, I should say, that there's never been one in District 2. So she apparently has a platform. What platform did O'Donnell have? Why didn't we hear more about that? I don't live in District 2, I'm in District 1, but those residents there deserve to have a platform and someone that's watching out for their best interest instead of getting involved in shenanigans. And we'll see how that plays out.
Diane, what's your thought on that very quickly?
He did have a platform. He was for Trump and against tearing down Century 2. Those were the 2 main issues that O'Donnell highlighted in this election, other than Sarah Lopez's support for the Black Lives Matter movement, which and they were still doing it. I mean, right up to Election Day, I was getting mailings that showed her, superimposed over burning cars.
Okay.
When the photo was of her praying with the police chief. It's like, okay, that's
all right. Well, Diane, John, thank you both so much for joining me today. We'd also like to thank our news partners at Cake News, the Wichita Eagle, and KSN News for sharing their materials with us. We'd love to hear your thoughts. Just email us at kansasweek@kpts.org. For now, stay safe and have a great week.
Southwest National Bank has proudly served Wichita and its surrounding communities for over 100 years. We are happy to support KPTS, Public Television for Kansas.